Why is Gareth Southgate so crap as a manager?
Well, don't get me started.
I will be hosting, I'll be taking over, and here we are to discuss the top 5 players who have never won the Euros. To discuss the top 5 players who have never won the Euros, I'm going to start with Sam.
Hello.
Hello, sir. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to go with, first, we'll go from 5 to 1, right?
We're always going 5 to 1.
5 to 1,
1.
cool.
Comment yours below as well. I want to see if you agree or disagree.
So I'm going to go number 5, Michael Laudrup.
Did Michael Laudrup win in the
No.
Euro 92?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Oh.
Because he fell out with the manager. Fell out with the manager and he didn't play.
I
I
didn't know that. I
So,
didn't know that.
new one for you there. So Michael Laudrup did not play.
I don't know.
His brother Brian did play. And
Brian
therefore
won
he
it.
won it. And therefore I'm going to say, if you're Michael Laudrup and you're seeing Denmark win their first ever European Championship, you're probably sitting there thinking, wow,
Fudge.
wow, oh dear, what a mistake. But yeah, I'm going with Michael Laudrup as my number 5.
Okay. Hamza?
Number 5 for me, the way I'm doing it is what I've seen from them in certain tournaments where they were playing good football, and for me they deserve to be winning in that tournament as well. So I'm going to go for number 5, bit of shock, Paul Pogba.
Paul Pogba.
Paul Pogba.
Fair enough.
He's
He's
fantastic at the European Championships in 2016 and in 2021. Remember, he scored that amazing goal against Jan
Yeah.
Sommer in a 3-1 win until it made it 3-3. 3-3, went to penalties. Pogba scored his penalty. He was balling with Mbappe, with Benzema, with Griezmann. He's playing some amazing football. Proper showman.
it's a shame to see Pogba to where he is now. I
Yes.
think in a recent interview
Don't do
he
drugs,
gave,
kids.
in a recent interview he gave, he said that he's gone. He's dead.
Yeah.
No one really knows about him, and he had so much potential to be one of those best players, but it's a shame how things played out.
Absolutely. My
So-
question to both of you before we move on to number 4.
Of course.
Do you guys remember the 2016 Euros final when France had it all to play for? Ronaldo got injured in the first half. It looked written in the stars that France would win the Euros at home,
Yeah,
but they didn't.
they didn't. To an
Do you guys
amazing
remember
goal.
Who scored? Do you remember the name?
Because of A, doesn't it?
E.
Same thing. Some vowels. Some vowels. We'll go with the vowels.
Adair.
There we go.
That was it. Nice, Sam. Nice, Sam.
Come on.
What a goal that was.
Right then, Sam, number 4.
Number 4, I am going to go with Roberto Baggio. Cult hero in Italy back in the 90s. I don't know if you're old enough for that yet.
No, I'm not.
But Roberto Baggio, again, yeah, cult hero in Italy, done so much for the country in terms of bringing their quality up. Played a lot in the late 90s and starred in 3 World Cups for Italy, but never won the Euros. So one of those players that come off the tongue when you think of Italy of old, but never got the chance to win the Euros, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they actually had a movie about Roberto Baggio, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
I haven't actually
Man
watched
who
that.
died standing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually never played at the Euros, so that makes it even worse.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I've-
He could have gone to the World Cup in 2002, but he didn't when he had a renaissance. But it just wasn't the case for Baggio.
Yeah.
The country gave up on him after that penalty miss against Brazil.
Such a shame to see. Such a shame to see. And to be fair, I feel like England sort of did that when Rashford, Saka missed theirs and Sancho.
Yeah.
I mean, missed theirs. It sort of happened there, but not
We're
to the
missing them
extent.
now at the Euros, especially Rashford and
Oh
Sterling.
my God, we're missing that pace.
Absolutely.
My number
Your
4. We're going to stick with Italy. We're going to stick with Italy, and I'm going to go for a player who I've been very fond of over the years. At football, they call me Alessandro. No, I'm not going to do that. They call me Hamsandro Nesta. Alessandro Nesta,
It's
number
true.
4. For me, Alessandro Nesta is one of the greatest centre-backs to ever play football.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why everyone remembers Italian centre-backs for being so incredible to watch. He lost in the final on a golden goal to David Trezeguet in
Yeah.
France in Euro 2000. He didn't get as far as he wanted to in Euro 2004, getting knocked out in the group stages, and just wasn't the case for him in the European Championships. And Italy have always been strong in the European Championships, more so than in the 2021 when they beat us on penalties. Thank you, Gareth Southgate.
Cheers, Gareth.
Which would be good. But number 4 for me, Alessandro Nesta.
Fair enough. Moving on to our third.
Number 3, I am going to go over to Spain and I'm going to pick Raul.
Raul.
Are you in pain?
Without the S.
Right, yes.
Without the S.
Oh.
So Raul himself missed a last-minute penalty for Spain in the quarter-final defeat to France at Euros in 2000. And since then, obviously, they went on to win 2 Euros and a World Cup, which he wasn't part of.
Remember, that was when Raul was the king.
Exactly
Win
that.
Champions League off the league after Champions
Exactly
League.
that.
Madrid.
Again, cult hero for for Real Madrid and a massive part of Spain throughout his career in terms of the international scene. But the coach, Luis Aragonés, at the time, dropped Raúl, and that's obviously one to talk about because then they went on to win it.
That's interesting. She's a great player as well.
Torres, David Villa, you had in that team as well.
You can't really complain from that point of view.
Yeah.
As a nation, you wouldn't really want to complain anyway if your team's won the Euros. You wouldn't care if your favourite players missed out. For me, as a Man United fan, if we win the Euros this summer, highly unlikely. I'm not going to complain Maguire and Rashford missed out as well.
That's it.
We're not going to get past the finals for me, which ain't great at all. Number 3 for me, we are not going to Spain, we are going to the Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
So to the Netherlands, I'm going for one of my favourite midfielders of all time. I'm pretty sure Sam has beaten me to picking him in a draft before, previously on Friday Night Counter Attack. Clarence Seedorf, most underrated midfielder of his generation, potentially of all time. Won multiple Champions League, was with multiple clubs. He just played for the Netherlands at a team where you were looking at it. You've got like Van Nistelrooy, you had Van Persie, you had Robben, you had Dirk Kuyt, but he retired really early as well. And then you're looking at him in the early 2000s as well. You had Edgar Davids, you had Philip Cocu, you had still a young Ruud Van Nistelrooy as well, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Kluivert. They never really got far in the European Championships until... When was the last time we got as far as the semi-finals of the Euros?
It was the World...
No, not the final. Did they play
Cup final against Spain?
The Euros final.
The Euros final.
That was the World Cup final in 2010. They last won it in 1988, but that was before all 3 of us were born as well. But Clarence Seedorf, one of the most fantastic players. For me, he should have gone to the final in 2004 when they lost in the semi-final to Portugal, which was crazy to think about as well.
Yeah.
Portugal.
I think there was a photo that went viral a couple of years ago, and he was about 40. I can't remember the exact age, and he just looked ripped.
Yeah, when he went over to Brazil to play, right?
It was something.
What was the name of the club?
Botafogo.
Oh, Sam knows ball. He's on it today.
He knows ball. He knows too much ball.
He's got it.
Come on now.
Right, so are we on to our
Number 2?
Top
Number
2.
two.
I'm gonna stick with players that have retired. I know we've crossed over into players that still play potentially with you picking Pogba, but not that he plays anymore.
We can go still current. And
But I'm gonna stick. My whole list is gonna stick with players that have retired because those players obviously can't play anymore. They can't even try and win it. So I'm gonna go for one of my favourite players.
They're living in regret.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for one of my favourite players ever, and that's Philipp Lahm. Player that's very versatile, played right back, left back, central midfield for Bayern Munich.
I don't feel sorry for him because he's won the World Cup.
Well, that's true, but a player of his calibre to have won the World Cup and never won the Euros says something about how terrible Germany were for a few years.
To be fair though, Philipp Lahm was the guy who cost Fernando Torres his goal. He
Correct.
was strong enough against Fernando Torres.
Correct, but when you consider that Germany haven't won the Euro since 1996, with the calibre of players that they've had, the likes of Ballack going through there as well, that gets an honourable mention from me, Bastian Schweinsteiger that could be potentially in your list also. There's been enough talent for them to have won it, and for Philipp Lahm to not have that on his resume, I think is massive.
Segue. What do you think about Germany this generation with Toni Kroos, Antonio Rudiger as well? What's your thoughts on them this time around?
I think they've got a good chance. Having watched Spain, I think they're more likely to win it personally. But I think with Nagelsmann in charge, I think they're very fluid going forward. They've got a lot of strength at the back and pace at the back with Rudiger and Jonathan Tah. And they've got probably a better chance, in my opinion, than what England have because they look like a team.
what was the stat? Sorry, with Lahm, that did he receive a booking or has he never received a red card?
Yeah.
That's the same with Gary Lineker. Am I right in saying
that's
that?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arjun knows.
I'm trying to show him. I know a bit of ball.
That's good.
Hamza, you're second.
In my list, I don't want to go for the same nation twice. So I've done the Netherlands with Clarence Seedorf. I've done Alessandro Nesta with Italy, and I started off the conversation, if I remember correctly, with Paul Pogba with France as well. So now I'm going to go home for England, but I'm going to say my England pick for number 1. For number 2, I'm going to have to go for Portugal. Portugal. Do you know how embarrassing it was to see Luis Figo lose the Euros to Greece at home?
Yeah.
That was embarrassing. He was the Ballon d'Or winner a couple seasons before. He's one of the greatest players of his generation. And I remember the fact that in the English media, it was all about Cristiano Ronaldo and Helder Postiga, the Spurs player.
I remember Helder Postiga, yeah.
What a name. Helder Postiga. Reach out for a podcast. But Luis Figo was the main man for Portugal. He should have brought home that Euros back in 2004. They had a team with Rui Costa, they had Cristiano Ronaldo, who was so young as well. And they had a team where they beat England on penalties. Realistically, they should have won. Luis Figo should have had a European Championship to his name. Fantastic player, one of the best wingers of all time. And he'll probably go down as one of the greatest Portuguese players of all time.
Definitely.
But for me, that was where you're thinking, you know what, you had a great tournament.
Right. Our final one.
Final one.
The player. Sam, let's kick things off.
I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to annoy Hamza by saying all the names that he's probably going to be picking, but because I'm not going to pick them. But
Honourable mentions.
honourable mention time.
Okay.
But I feel like the golden generation of England didn't achieve what they should have achieved, and therefore any number of players such as John Terry's, Rio Ferdinand's, Wayne Rooney, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Paul Scholes, all could be in this list. But the person that goes into my top spot is actually Paolo Maldini for Italy. A bit like Hamza in terms of Alessandro Nesta, considered one of the best defenders ever, not just for his country, but just of all time. Played 120 times for Italy overall, but never won the Euros, helping them reach to the Euro 2000 final. Again, as we've mentioned, losing to France when they scored an equaliser in injury time, and then obviously went on to lose the game. So Nesta, Maldini, Cannavaro, players like that all pop into mind, but for me, number one to not win it is definitely Maldini.
Absolutely. And for me, my personal choice, I'm just going to go for Wayne Rooney. I mean, Wayne Rooney in 2004, he was running the show. He had Lampard, he had Gerrard, he had Beckham, all on the sideline saying, watch this, look what I can do as a footballer. Balling out versus Switzerland, balling out versus Croatia. He was on fire, and unfortunately he broke his foot in that quarter-finals against Portugal, and England just looked lost afterwards as well. When you have the quality of Wayne Rooney down to Darius Vassell, it was not looking
Darius
good for
Vassell.
That was it.
And we lost on penalties, and the goalkeeper Ricardo took a penalty, and he saved the penalty without wearing gloves as well.
Brilliant. And I think in a
Fun
recent
fact.
interview with Rooney, he mentioned how he had a chip in his shoulder, how most players thought that he wasn't good enough and he wasn't fit enough for the place that he was at for England. And he certainly proved them wrong and made a name for himself.
Read us your list 5 to 1 for the camera, please.
Who did I go for? So I've gone for number 5, Michael Laudrup.
Nice.
I've gone for number 4, Roberto Baggio. Number 3, can't remember, Raul. Number 2, I went for Philipp Lahm. And number 1, Paolo Maldini.
Nicely done. For me,
Decent.
I went for Paul Labille Pogba. At number 4, I went for... Oh, do I know Ball? Who did I pick? Alessandro Nesta. Number 3, I went for Clarence Seedorf. Number 2, I went for Luis Figo.
That was it.
Number 1, Wazza. I went for Wayne Rooney.
Waz.
All good.
Was a Rooney.
Agree or disagree with our list? Comment below, and we'll see you next time.